You're still watching Special Dialogue second anniversary of MNC Business channel. Now I'm here still with His Excellency Scott Marciel, the U.S. Ambassador to Indonesia, talking about U.S.-Indonesia potential economy in the future in the middle of global crisis. Continuing our discussion. So, after potential market, domestic consumption, now talking about natural resources, from mining, from maybe our forest, it's really rich, and any other. How do you see that? How can we explore more so that we can have a better cooperation in the future?
Well, as you said, Indonesia is rich with resources, minerals, oil and gas, and forests, and I think that's helped your economy a lot. I think going forward, your government's made clear that it wants to do more than just use those resources. It wants to add value, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the challenge going ahead is to create an investment environment that encourages more exploration, but also, particularly with forests, does so in a way that's sustainable, because your forests are such a wonderful resource. You know, it's important to protect them as well.
Also about our oceans and seas, and also the resource in it. So, do you see this also can be our submarine industry in the future? Also, it's become potential, or any plan to have cooperation on it?
Yes, we're actually working together already, and there's some American companies already are here buying a lot of seafood and sending it to the United States, so we get to eat it, which is great. Again, Indonesia's hugely rich in oceans. Again, the challenge is to take advantage of that in a way that's sustainable, so that there's not overfishing that wipes out the industry in 10 or 15 years. And then we're working with the government on programs just to do just that.
So it's already running?
Already.
Talking about human resources in Indonesia, because when investors come to one country, they see about the labor, they see about the skilled labor, and then the human resource or management. So, yeah. Do you see that Indonesia is well enough, maybe educated enough, to attract investors?
Well, Indonesia has a lot of skilled people, a lot of talented people, but I think every country, we have the same discussion in the United States.
Really?
You can never do enough to educate your people, especially in the modern world where technology and information is so important. So that's why one of the reasons we've made education actually our top priority in the relationship. So I think there's a lot of work to do still to improve the quality of education and make sure more people get the skills they need.
Cooperation in education, because I myself also was the alumni of the program of US and Indonesia Cooperation Education. So do you see this will be continued, because sometimes when our students go abroad to the US, and then maybe some students can also learn in Indonesia, is it really a chance or the opportunity, a great opportunity between this country in the future, because the sense of belonging of this cooperation will continue?
Well, that's why we've made education our top priority, because Indonesians who study in the U.S. or Americans who study here, you get the benefit not only of the good education, but it brings our countries closer together. Where the people who study abroad are friends for life. So we've taken a lot of steps to make it much easier for Indonesians to study in the U.S., including streamlining our visa processing, making it much easier, increasing scholarships. So we're doing all we can to encourage more Indonesians to study in America.
I hope so. Talking about the labor issue, because September is like International Labor Day, and then labor in Indonesia need more wage and something like that. Is there similarities in the U.S. of this kind of case?
Sure. One of our challenges in the United States is people earning enough to enjoy a good life. And the challenge, again, here for both of us is you want people to earn a good wage. On the other hand, if people are paid too much and don't have high productivity, you won't compete, and so you'll lose the business. So trying to find the right balance where the business is competitive, but people earn a good wage, and that goes back to improving their skills and education so they can be more productive.
Education and skills could determine their performance, so that maybe the wage will be adjusted.
Absolutely.
Now, talking about the investment climate, now the foreign direct investment is coming to Indonesia in a huge number of amount. You say that could be our strength in the future, or how is it?
I think it could be. There's a lot of foreign investor interest. I'll be in the United States the next 2 weeks talking to a lot of companies that are interested in Indonesia. I think the challenge is to be perfectly honest, the Indonesian business environment, according to World Bank's records, could still be improved quite a bit. And I think if that happens, there's a potential for a lot more investment and a lot more jobs.
A lot of more jobs, that's the point. So any plan on this, maybe talking about back to the human resources, the skill labor itself, any program or maybe the corporation on education, maybe in the skill labor in the future?
Well, we've been working to a couple of things. One, encourage more Indonesians to go to the U.S., but also we have a couple of programs here to help Indonesian efforts to strengthen education. Secretary Clinton just announced last week an $83 million program to support basic education in Indonesia, and it starts with basic education.
Basic education. Okay, we'll be continuing. It's really interesting. Don't go anywhere, stay with special dialogue, second anniversary of MNC Business Channel. Welcome back. I'm here still in the special dialogue of second anniversary of MNC Business Channel. Now still with His Excellency Scott Marciel, the U.S. Ambassador to Indonesia. The segment will be more focused on the U.S. plan of investment in Indonesia. How is it?
Well, you know, investment in Indonesia from the U.S., we're the third largest foreign investor, at least last year we were. When President Obama came here in 2010, he said we want to be number one. So we're certainly encouraging American companies to come here. We're seeing some increased investment, significant increased investment from the U.S. And I think right now, a lot of companies are waiting to hear from the government for some clarification of some new rules. And once those are clarified, and if they look positive, I think we'll see a big increase.
There is no intention to me maybe to touch the election, maybe in the U.S. Is the will hamper or maybe affect so much in the economy condition in the U.S.?
Well, I don't think it will have an immediate impact. I mean, of course, President Obama and Governor Romney have put forward different ideas about the economy going forward, and so over time, who gets elected may make some difference in the economy. We'll have to see, but I wouldn't anticipate that it would make change things immediately.
How so not affected so much to our cooperation in Indonesia?
Well, it certainly shouldn't affect our cooperation because there's strong support from Democrats and Republicans for a good relationship with Indonesia.
So how do you see the further progress of maybe business cooperation between Indonesia and U.S. that is running now already?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on. We see more companies coming here, more Indonesian companies going to the U.S. We have several dialogues underway to try to figure out ways to create new opportunities, remove obstacles. So I expect we'll make steady progress on this.
Again, we mentioned before in the first segment, talking about the visitation of Mr. Jose Fernandez, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Economic and Business Affairs, talking about so many fields of business and sectors. How is the follow-up again, maybe in the other sector after infrastructure MOU, and also about the agriculture? How is it?
Well, we're working together on agriculture for one important reason. The world needs more food. And there's a lot of opportunities for increased food production in Indonesia, not by taking more land necessarily, but just by better farming techniques and agricultural engineering. So we have our companies, our universities, and our government experts all working together, trying to figure out how we can support Indonesia's efforts to increase productivity.
Any research maybe together will be done in the future between the university there and the university here?
Absolutely. Some are already working together, and we're very committed to trying to do more because there's great opportunities to help farmers really grow more food by better research and better technology.
Talking about food security, that is now really important in the world, especially in Indonesia. So many rural areas is not really well touched enough about this food security. I see this is the wrong in the system between the government, the private sector, the farmers union, and something like that. So how do you see this? The synergy, how it's supposed to be?
Well, I think for us, one way to look at food security is we don't look at food security in the United States as we have to grow all our own food. We import a lot of food, but we also export a lot of food. And so I think that's actually a pretty good model. But there's a lot that can be done, as I said, working with farmers, with governments, giving them advice on how to improve production, using better seeds, improving irrigation techniques. All of this, there's potential for much here.
Is technology in Indonesia really need to be developed more?
I think around the world it needs to be developed more. There's a lot of good agricultural technology out there, better seeds and better varieties and so on. but sometimes getting them to the farmers is the challenge.
Now, can you share about the U.S. interest of investment in Indonesia? In what sector? After maybe infrastructure and then agriculture, what's next?
Well, if you look at where U.S. companies are investing here, it's a wide range. You have in consumer goods, as you mentioned, a growing consumer demand, so that's part of it. In automobiles, General Motors is working to open its factory in Bekasi. Certainly in agriculture, where U.S. companies are investing here. Cargill, Monsanto, and others. Technology, Google recently opened an office here, and others are very active. So quite a lot of areas.
Yeah, talking about technology, and Google will open the office here. So do you see that technology is now really moves so fast in Indonesia? Young people, especially youth, love technology so much, love the social media and etc. Because it's like become the lifestyle. Do you see this as also opportunity? That's why Google's coming to here.
Well, it's a huge opportunity both for Indonesia and for companies around the world. The use of social media, internet, it's a great way of promoting business in general. And you know, it's also opportunity for young Indonesian entrepreneurs to start their own companies, and we're certainly encouraging that.
Okay, what's the next plan of business cooperation between Indonesia, maybe in the recent time?
Well, actually next week and the week after, there'll be a series of conversations in the U.S. When your president's in New York, he and his ministers will meet with U.S. companies, talk about opportunities. We will have our commercial dialogue, which we started last year, again with our government and business sitting together looking for opportunities. And we will bring out a steady stream of trade missions and businesses here to look for opportunities.
Looking forward to good news then. We'll be continue after the break. Don't go anywhere, stay with us on a special dialogue, second anniversary of MNC Business channel.